Hi there. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. We're having a bonus class today to talk a little bit about some holiday and celebration words, and also to take your questions. Feel free to put your questions in the chat at any time if you have something you'd like to ask about American accent, pronunciation, etc. So I was just live on my Facebook channel talking about the words holiday and celebrate, and I'll post that video here later as part of our Word of the Day series. But let's take a brief look at these words to start, and then we can talk about some other Thanksgiving holiday words, or again, your questions. Looking at the word holiday, we have first syllable stress. Letter O says the ah vowel. So watch out for not rounding that vowel. You don't want an O or an ah sound, but really just an open ah. I've rewritten it here for you with letters AH, ha, holiday, so you can think about how to pronounce that. And then we have in the unstressed syllables, the ide syllables, we have a clear vowel A in the word day. We typically spell that with AY or AI like rain, or A and an E at the end like celebrate. And then the letter I, we're going to use a reduced vowel. So you can use an I sound or an sound. Doesn't matter too much as long as you're not holding that syllable too long. So you don't want holiday or holiday with a long vowel. As long as it's quick, holiday, holiday. You can't really hear a difference between the I and the So I wrote it here with a little for you. I think sometimes when people see the I symbol or the letter I, they have a tendency to go a little bit more towards the E sound. A lot of times this is because in your native language, letter I might usually say E. Similarly, in celebrate, letter E in your language may say more of an A sound, and in celebrate, it's going to do that reduced sound, or not reduced, but lax sound. So knowing kind of what biases you have when you're looking at the letters of a word, how it might influence how you think it should be pronounced and what you hear can be helpful. That has to do with, again, accent patterns from your native language as well as spelling and sounds. I've been working my way through all of the letters of English and all of the sounds of English in a series of videos in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com and in some classes here on YouTube to help you with that phenomenon of what is the spelling of the word and what are the sounds of the word. Because when I look at letter O, it can say different things, or letter A can say different things. This is especially true for our vowel sounds, but it can also be true with consonant sounds. So keep tuning into the channel if that's of interest to you, and check out our playlists for Sounds of English and the Letters of English so that you can go through and start to learn those resources. As part of that series, I'm covering the IPA symbols. Those are the symbols you see here in the green and that you see in a dictionary where you can look and say, one symbol is one sound. So if I have an I, then I know that's going to say the I sound. That tends to be really helpful, and it's also part of our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. It's going to be a strong resource for you for pronouncing any word you want, and reading the dictionary, using that as a resource, as well as kind of clearing up some of those little mysteries of spelling and sounds. So that's holiday. Let's look at celebrate. Celebrate also has first syllable stress, and again, letter E here has the vowel. That's the same vowel as in red or the word sell, like selling something. Then this E is going to be either a schwa or an I. Again, there's our reduced vowel, like the I in holiday, halle, selle, same kind of quick reduced vowel. And then we have our tense A sound for the last syllable, brate. So I rewrote that here with letters AI. As I mentioned before, we spell A with A and an E, with AY or AI. You'll see this little mark here. I use this to show you that in a lot of words that end with T, we don't really say celebrate. With the pronounced T, we just let that sound stop in the mouth. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate the day. So you can learn about the different things that the T does in the middle and ends of words in our Sounds of English course as well. Okay, so let's talk about a few more holiday and celebrate celebration related words, as well as taking your questions. It's nice to see you here today. I know for some of you, of course, it's not a holiday or a day that you're celebrating in your country, but we can talk about these words generally speaking and what we use. So when I think about celebrations, particularly on Thanksgiving, in the US, Thanksgiving is really associated with family and eating food. And also some people who are interested in sports look at football for Thanksgiving as well. One of the nice things about Thanksgiving, in my mind, is that it's typically not a holiday where people give gifts, or there doesn't have to be a lot of commercialism for Thanksgiving. It is mostly about taking some time to think about what you're thankful for, and celebrating, having a break from work. And in many places, Thanksgiving is we're beginning to move into winter, fall is ending, and it's a time when we're going to be indoors more. Especially this year, after last year, we had the pandemic and a lot of people couldn't gather for Thanksgiving. And people, I think, are still being cautious about that this year, but we all appreciate our family all the more, and also the ability to have and share good food. So let's look at the word family. I do have a video specifically for this word. And what I want to talk about with family is that I have two different ways I can say it. So I can say family with 3 syllables, and you'll also hear people saying this with just 2 syllables, family. That's because that reduced I or a syllable in family is so short that sometimes it's almost dropped. There are words like this where that's acceptable. In other words, you want to be careful not to drop the syllable because it won't sound correct. So for family, you might see in the dictionary family, or you might just see family without that middle syllable. And again, that middle syllable can be an I or an a. I recommend, if you can do it, just going right to family, because moving from the to the family, you kind of end up with a little bit of a vowel sound in there. So it's in between 2 syllables and 3 syllables for that word. Great. If you have a question, if you're watching live, if you have a word that you think of when you think of Thanksgiving, feel free to put that in the comments. Let's look at that word Thanksgiving. I also do have a video for how to pronounce Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving has the TH sound, which is challenging for some people. And in this case, it's the voiceless TH sound. So it just has air, sounds like Thanksgiving. I don't need the sound like in that or they. Again, I have vowel a, first syllable stress on Thanksgiving. Actually, Thanksgiving, not first syllable stress. We have stress on the giving part of Thanksgiving. The a vowel is influenced by what follows it. So when I say thanks or Thanksgiving, the letter N is actually not an N sound. I'm not saying thanks, I'm saying thanks. So we have actually an NG sound for the letter N. So thinking about that like thank. Now, most people will naturally do that NG sound and not realize that it's there. You don't really have an issue with that. But what happens is when I'm saying the a together with the NG, it'll sound a little bit more closed. So if I'm saying something like that or at Thanksgiving, it's easier for me to do that open a sound. When I move into Thanksgiving, at Thanksgiving, you can see my mouth isn't as open for the Thanksgiving part. And it ends up being, if we look at the vowels in front, we have the a like at or cat. We have the like red or celebrate, we were just talking about. And we have the like big. The NG, I form that, if this is the front of the mouth, the NG is formed more in the middle back of the mouth. And so it kind of pulls the sound up. So rather than, I can't really say thanks because I have to be ready to close off and seal off in the back of my mouth for that NG sound. So I end up kind of with Thanksgiving. It's not intentionally. You don't have to think, I don't want to say Thanksgiving, because that would also kind of rise up. But just notice that the context will change vowel sounds depending on the word. So I have thanks. And then my stress happens on my gi syllable of giving. And then again, I have another NG sound at the end, Thanksgiving. Watch out for your V as well, that you have the upper teeth and lower lip making that sound, ving, Thanksgiving. And you'll notice that this sound also gets a little bit raised. Just don't let it become tense. You don't want Thanksgiving. You want to avoid that E sound and keep it the lax giving. And if I'm saying the phrase Happy Thanksgiving, it's going to be, again, main stress on the give syllable. So it'll sound like Happy Thanksgiving, da 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 da. That's the rhythm of that phrase. Okay, so you probably thought, how could she say so much about just one word? But when you start looking at what are the little differences in how you might pronounce a word or how sounds sound different, people are often asking me about, why does the word man or the word men, what's happening there with the vowels, and why is it so difficult to hear those differences? And it's usually because of something like the fact that it's followed by an NG or followed by an N. Those differences affect how we make vowel sounds. So when I'm talking, there's kind of an ideal position for all of these different sounds in the mouth. But when you're talking in fluent speech, it moves so fast that your tongue is really moving from position to position. So you don't really have time to hold and sustain an vowel in different places. It's going to be reduced, it's going to be changed, and it's going to be what's called co-articulated. So when I'm moving from one sound to another, my tongue is going to make little cheats, little differences in order to be able to say all of those sounds accurately, fluently, and smoothly in English. I talk about these kinds of reductions, linking, cheats, differences quite a bit in our Real Talk series. So that's a playlist series I have here on YouTube, as well as an online course that I have on speechmodification.com. It's one of my more advanced courses for American accent. It's really about, on the one hand, sounding more like a native speaker and being more accurate in how you sound. And on the other hand, it's actually useful even if your goal is not necessarily to have an American accent or sound like a native speaker, because it helps you become smoother and how to pronounce things that are potentially challenging and makes them easier. It's because if you're going for all of those specifics that I talk about when we're talking about individual sounds, you find, okay, but it's hard to do that in this particular word. And so it shows you how language changes and sounds change when they're in different contexts. So check that out on speechmodification.com. That's called the Real Talk course for advanced American accent. Okay, we have a question about the word abide. Let's look at your word. Oh, and we also had a question earlier from one of our channel members about baptize, so we'll cover that as well. So in abide, we have second syllable stress. So our clear vowel is going to be on the I sound, and our letter A is going to be just a reduced schwa that sounds like So it's going to be very fast. I don't want abide, but abide. I'll see my stress here. Letter I is following the rule of the silent E. So the E at the end makes the I, quote unquote, say its name. So it's going to be the I diphthong gliding between the ah open and the reduced and laxed I. What you might find is that if you say it without the D first, like abide, I'm thinking about that word buy, for example, or this word buy, same pronunciation, or this prefix by, abai. That's going to help you get that vowel. And then just put your D on at the end. And notice that we might not say abide with a release of the D, but rather abide, abide. So you have to make sure you hold your vowel long enough so we'll perceive that as a D rather than a T. If I said abide, you can hear how it sounds a little more like I'm saying a bite with a T. Abide with a D, I'm holding my vowel longer. One other comment about abide. Word like abide, when you have second syllable stress, say it without the first syllable first. That's going to help you get the rhythm correct, the vowel sounds correct. So for that, I would say bide, abide, abide. And then do practice it with some other words. You might say often abide by the rules, abide by. It's pretty typical to use that together with that. So when you hear that, abide by, again, I do my stopped D and I just release into the B. So abide, I close off for the D, then I shut my lips, by, abide by. Yeah, that's a good word. Thank you for your request. Okay, and then let's talk about baptize and baptized. Speaking of celebrations. So baptize, I think we actually spell that with a Z usually in American English. And I think my listener spelled it with an S. That's the British English spelling. Pronunciation would be the same though. First syllable stress sounds like baptize. Here's another example of an unreleased stop. So I don't say baptize with a break and a released P. I just close my lips for the P, bap, then I put my tongue ready for the T and release it all into the T. Baptize, baptize. Here we have another example of silent E, making the I say its name. Ties, and then a Z sound at the end, baptize. When I add the D to say baptized, she was baptized, I don't have any sound for that E, I just add the D sound. That might be challenging to do the Z and D together for you. So then you might want to add a vowel next to practice because it's a little easier. So if I say baptized in Georgia, baptized in, I can say my Z of baptize, and then I can kind of think of the D as going on the next word, baptized in. So I would rewrite this kind of as bap, but you might even kind of leave that T out. Tie, baptized, baptized in. You can't leave the P out. You don't want to do baptized. You do need to actually close the lips for the P, but I'm just writing it that way so you can remember that we don't burst that P out. Baptized. Okay. Thank you, Talker Aware, for that suggestion. And I will direct you to find your answer here since you requested that on another video. That viewer is one of our channel members. So we do offer channel memberships as a way to support the channel and also to get a faster response. So sometimes some of you can't always attend our live question and answer classes. Typically, we have these classes on Fridays at 12 o'clock Seattle time, 3 o'clock Eastern time, and they're open to everyone. I'll take everyone's questions regarding American accent, American English pronunciation. It's so great to see so many of you and to get your questions because it helps me know what additional videos to make, what content to put in my online courses on speechmodification.com. If you have some requests and questions and you can't make it to the live class, you can leave that in a comment on this class or any of my videos. And I do go through all of those, direct you to resources and videos I have, or add your word to my list to cover in a future Word of the Day class, because we do have daily classes each day here on the channel. Those take a long time to get to. I have such a great long list. It's usually a couple months before you see your word come up. So if you're waiting, you'll see yours coming soon. But if you don't want to wait, joining as a channel member is a great way to get a faster response because I cover channel members requests each week on Sunday in a small channel members class. They don't have to be there live to hear it. They can ask their question and then get the answer, watch the replay at their convenience. Or I will make a video for them, specifically for them, and release it right away. Or, for example, if like Talker Aware made the request on one of our debuts today, and so I'm covering it for that viewer today. If you're interested in joining as a channel member, it's a great way to support the channel, and you can check it out by clicking the join button, and it'll show you what perks we offer for channel membership. I just also want to mention, I'm very thankful for all of you viewers, especially subscribers and channel members. Your support really keeps me going, motivates me. So on this Thanksgiving Day, I'm very thankful for my YouTube community. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we have a question about the contraction that we use. So we typically don't use this in writing. In writing, we would say there will, like there will be. But in speaking, we do contract there will to there'll. And it is a little bit challenging because we have to go from the air to the syllabic L. So how that looks is we're going to have our voice TH sound. We'll have our air diphthong, and then we'll have just our syllabic L. So in the dictionary, the IPA is not that helpful because it goes right from the R to the L, there'll. They might not even be in the dictionary because, as I said, we typically say this, but we don't write it. So thinking about building from air and there to the ul, you're going to have a little bit of a schwa sound in there. So thinking about it like there'll will be helpful for you. Slowing down, thinking about how to do roll. You keep the back of the tongue down and just lift the front of the tongue for the L. Ul, roll, there'll. Slow it down, see, kind of where that gives you difficulty. If it's moving just from the R to the L, you can practice other words that have that same combination. For example, I have a video for the word rural or plural. I think those are also very difficult. Or maybe it's just the L. So maybe you want to practice something like wheel, practicing that kind of ul syllabic L sound. I have a number of videos for that as well. Look at my syllabic L video. Figuring out, you told me that it's the end of the word that's hard for you, and it may be the L, it may be the R, or maybe the RL combination. When you can pinpoint that, that can help you to pronounce it more easily, focusing in on building from the difficult sound to the less difficult sound. Thank you. That was a great request, and I'm sure will help a lot of people who struggle with that same combination. Okay. We have a question about the word pertinent, whether I do 2 or 3 syllables. I think I personally do 3 syllables on pertinent. But what we tend to hear here is that I don't do pertinent with aspirated T's. So if you said pertinent, it's clearly 3 syllables. That's more typical though of British English. I say pertinent a little bit more like the word important, where we use some stopped T's in there. So I would say pertinent. So this vowel gets dropped and this vowel gets dropped. So first we have pert without releasing that T. So I'll just rewrite that again with this. It's basically the same kind of spelling. It's the sound. So practicing starting there, pert, you can also practice a word like part, where what you want to do to make that stop T is I go from the R to move my tongue to the T position, but I don't let any air out. Pert, And actually, I don't really need to fully go up into that T position. I just want to stop the air, make your R really short. Pert. So there is a stopping of the air. My tongue does close off in the front, but it's maybe not necessarily right in that T position. Pertinent. Pertinent. Okay, so then I see what your point is, that I could either do pertinent, which would be 2 syllables. I think I do more like pertinent, where I make the syllabic N in the middle kind of long. If I'd made it short, pertinent, it would be basically like dropping that middle N, but I tend to make some length there, pertinent. So then I kind of have to do another 2 syllabic ends in a row, pertinent, because this T is also stopped. Boy, that's a tough word. Thank you for bringing that up. So pertinent, I would say maybe a little vowel there, pertinent. If you wanted to do pertinent, this would be faster and shorter, and it does sound closer to 2 syllables. Let me use it in some phrases so that I can check my own pronunciation, see what comes out naturally if I'm not trying to teach it. We know all the pertinent information. That's not pertinent to this story. Yeah, so I think I do pertinent with 3 syllables. Great word. Thank you. I learned something myself today by having to break that down. Okay. Question about hotel. So hotel is an example of a word that has some exceptions. So usually when we have a T between 2 vowels, like in the word water or waiter, we use a flap. It sounds more like a D. But in hotel, we do a true T because the stress is on the second syllable, tell. So I do say O for the ho syllable, hotel, with a clear vowel, but it's going to be short, and my length is going to be on the tell syllable. So it just sounds like ho, tell with a true T. Again, use your strategy of saying your second syllable, your stressed syllable first, then just add your first unstressed syllable as a short little stepping stone. Tell, hotel. Same thing happens for words like guitar, 18, motel, etc. You can get more help for what the T does in the middle of words and the ends of words, some of these complicated details in the free lessons on speechmodification.com. Go to our free practice area. Do have several videos about T in the middle and ends of words, and you can check that out on our sounds playlist here on the channel. And also you can get more details in our Sounds of English course on speechmodification.com. All of our online courses are either free or they're under $2. So they're a really great resource for getting a little more details and help that will help you with any word you're trying to pronounce. Someone's wishing me a happy Thanksgiving and having a great turkey. I'm not going to have a turkey myself this year. That's kind of a pretty big commitment because it's a lot of food, and I'm going to have a relatively small Thanksgiving here, but we will have some special food. And we will be celebrating. Okay, we have a question about dilute and diluted solution. So I think you can say dilute or dilute. That would be different syllable stress and different vowel. If you're saying dilute, it's going to be more of an I and a stress on the oo. And then dilute would be stress on the I. Dilute actually would be just secondary stress on the I and main stress still on lute. And then diluted, same thing, diluted or diluted, stress on lute. Let's just check in the dictionary for your word because I want to double check that's correct. So I personally like the Oxford Learners Dictionary because it'll show you both the British and the American English options. So let's look up dilute. Okay, it's showing just dilute there, not dilute. Let's see what it says for diluted or diluted, because we have that option too. Okay, so that's actually the verb. Adjective is also the same, and then diluted. Sorry, I'm not showing you what I'm seeing here. Diluted. Okay, let's just double check. I'm going to check the another source, Learner's Dictionary, because what I find is that if you look at different dictionaries, you might see some different pronunciations. And also sometimes you find, nope, it's consistent across dictionaries and I was just wrong. You can't say dilute, but maybe you can. So let's check another dictionary. This one also says dilute. Okay, so ignore my first advice. I can research this a little bit more and get back to you, but what I'm seeing is that they're saying dilute as having that I, the I sound rather than the I sound, even though it's stressed on lute, dilute, diluted. And then solution, that one also is stressed on the lu, but instead of the T saying a T like in dilute, solution, it's going to have the SH sound. And this O is not going to be a so, an O vowel, it's a schwa. So solution, diluted solution. Okay, great. Thanks for helping me clarify and learn something today as well. And thanks for your patience as I was looking it up. Okay. We have a request about synergy. So synergy, first syllable stress. The Y is just an I sound. So you could respell it like sin with the letter I, synergy. I'm going to rewrite the J or the J sound that's spelled with letter G as a J here, because that's how another way we represent that sound. You would see it like this. Synergy in the dictionary, synergy. Similar rhythm to energy. So if it's hard for you to remember what the stress should be, it's got the same intonation as the word energy, long, short, synergy, just slightly different vowels. Yeah. Watch out that you make sure you do that sound, even though it's not stressed, you still need the tight American R. So you don't want synergy, but synergy. It's like the word sinner at the start. Yeah, okay, thank you. We have a question about 1 year versus 1 near. Those are not pronounced the same, although they are similar. And I do have a video that you might find helpful about year versus ear. And what you're probably seeing is that you may not be able to make a big distinction between those two, which would mean that for these, you would also have difficulty because of the N sound. So in 1 year, I can't go, let's put 1 ear here as well. So 3 different pronunciations. With 1 year, I need to have the sound, the N sound, one, and then I need a glide, the ya. So the Y represents this ya sound, which letter J doesn't really help. So letter Y is better. In the IPA, you'll see it as a glide ya. One. So make sure you close off 1 year versus 1 ear, 1 near. That's closer to 1 near, 1 near. So if I'm doing 1 ear, I just have the ear, one ear. What most Americans will do if they're saying 1 ear is they won't align those together, 1 near, because it would sound too much like 1 near. And here as well, if I'm saying the one near the one near the, I might just do 1 N, or I might do a little break there as well to do 2 N sounds. So 1 year, 1 year, 1 ear. I have a little bit of a glottal stop before the E, 1 ear, and 1 near. That's the one that's probably most likely to just have 1 N sound in between. So the one near the fireplace, one ear is always listening, 1 year ago today. Yeah, do check out my year video. I think that's going to help you. Probably that "yuh" sound is difficult for you to put on the word year. For that, I would say practicing also saying things like yes, yesterday, yeast. Yeast and east is another pair that's difficult to put that "yuh" before the "e" for some speakers. So you can get more details on that in my video on that. Thank you. That's an interesting request. Okay. Thanks so much for being here today on this Thanksgiving morning in our live class. We won't be having our regular Friday live class, but I will have a debut video for you at 12 o'clock at our usual time, as well as our Word of the Day class tomorrow, and continuing with our daily Word of the Day classes through the for a long time yet to come. You can come back to the channel and always check that out. Also on our channel, we do have a community page where I post quizzes and sneak previews. When I have a bonus video in a day or a new course, you can get a lot of good information there to help you. You can also leave comments and questions on any of my videos, even if you can't make it live. If you're watching the video later, leave a comment or a question, and I'd be happy to get back to you with some resources. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful holiday today, and I look forward to seeing you in our next live class. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a great day.